Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back. This is Yvonne from Step by Step Farming, and this is part 2 of the simple 9 baby steps you need to do before you start your garden, okay? And we're going to go ahead and recap. In part 1, I talked about why do you want to start a garden. I talked about what is your planting zone, and I also talked about what are you going to plant and think about how much. So in this one, we're going to be talking about a few other things. I wrote a bunch of notes because I wanted to make sure that I did not, that I want to stay on track and that I did not forget to give you all some very important information. So normally I don't really take notes when I get in front of a camera, but today, just bear with me, okay? I'm going to try to make this where it is not so boring for you all. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some homework to think about later on. But first, let's talk about step number 4. So step number 4 is what is the first and the last frost date? And first of all, let's think about what is a frost date. For those of you all who do not know, what the heck is a frost date? What is that? Let me go ahead and tell you. So the frost date is basically a date that's predicted every year, normally by the Farmer's Almanac. It's not exact, but it's pretty close to telling you the last frost date and also the first frost date. That means, in the springtime or right before spring comes, you'll wake up in the morning and there's frost on the ground. And of course, we know that water freezes, around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere around there. Okay, so when you have frost on the ground, you do not want to plant until there is no more frost. All right, no more frost is going to be coming because you don't want to plant your seeds too soon and then wind up, they don't germinate and they die because it's too cold. So that's why before you plant, you want to make sure that you figure out what is your last frost date. Okay, so there's something called a first and a last frost date. Don't get confused. Just because it's first, it's not first. Let me explain what I mean. In the spring, it is considered a last frost date. That means that when spring comes, you want to figure out what is the last day that there's going to be frost so that I can start planting in the spring and summer, okay? Now in the fall, you want to find out what is the first frost date. And what that means is basically you want to say, what seeds do I need to plant in my garden before the first day frost appears? Okay, I hope you guys are understanding that. If you don't understand, click in the comments below and I will make another video a little bit more in depth about what it is, but I hope I'm explaining it well enough. Okay, so basically that is why you want to find out what is your last frost date in the spring and what is your first frost date in the fall. All right, so that's very important because that is going to determine when you can plant your seeds or your transplants or whatever you're going to put in the ground. You need to know that before you put your stuff in the ground. Okay, step number 5. Step number 5 is you need to know when to plant. All right, so for those of you who have seen the movie, it's an old movie. It's called, I think it's with Kevin Costner. It's called Field of Dreams. And they have this saying in there called, build it and they will come. Well, I thought when I first started, plant it and it will grow. And that is not what happened. I remember I was putting tomato seeds in, I was putting lettuce seeds in, I was putting all kinds of, I don't know, I was just putting anything in the ground. I didn't know when something was supposed to be planted and when it wasn't. That's why I'm trying to help you all with the learning curve to get you all to see so that you don't have to make the crazy mistakes that I did, okay? So basically, that is not the case. It is not always going to be planted and it will grow. All right, so you need to figure out which vegetable germinates at what season of the time. So for example, if you want to plant lettuce, then lettuce is a cool temperature vegetable. that means that you want to start planting that right after the frost date. In May, it could be kind of cool. Lately it's been in the 80s, but you know, the temperature is crazy. But you want to plant kind of the leafy greens and lettuces early in the spring after the last frost date. Now, if you want to plant tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, you know, green beans, things like that, those are all warmer temperature vegetables. So you want to plant those in the summer where it's really hot. June, July, August. Okay, so that's kind of why I'm trying to help you guys to find out. You have to find out when to plant. Now, one of the two places that you can figure it out is you can look on the back of the packet of the seeds. And a lot of time the seed packets will have actually the zone, the map zone on the back, and it will show you about where you are located, and it will tell you, you know, when to plant the seeds. If you're still not sure, just go to Google, just type in when's the best time to plant whatever, you know, beets. When's the best time to plant potatoes? You know, Google will tell you whatever it is that you need to know. So go to Google, look on the back of the seed packet, and it will tell you when to plant your vegetables. Step number 6, make sure you guys are writing these notes down, or if you need to go back and watch the video again, that is fine too, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do. Okay, so step number 6 is, what type of seeds should you plant? Because not all seeds are created equal, and I know some of you will have seen regular seeds, organic seeds, hybrid seeds, heirloom seeds. So what are these different types of seeds? So I'm just going to give you 3 types of seeds, and I'm going to do my best to try to explain exactly what it is. So there's 3 types of seeds. There's open pollinated seeds, there's heirloom seeds, and then there's hybrid seeds. Okay, so the open pollinated seeds is basically, seeds that have been pollinated by nature. Birds, the wind blows some seeds. You might have pollen that would transfer seeds, you know. So basically, that is open pollinated. It is pollinated naturally, all right? The next one is heirloom seeds. And heirloom seeds are also open pollinated seeds, but these are seeds that have specifically been around for over 50 years. That's why they're called an heirloom. If you think of an heirloom, an antique, is something that's old, okay? So just kind of remember it that way. So heirloom seeds are seeds that are open pollinated, but they are a natural seed that's been around for over 50 years. Now, for me, I try to always use heirloom seeds because they've stood the test of time. And when I buy my seeds, I get mine from rareseeds.com. They're also called Baker Creek seeds, and they're really good. I've been really pleased, never had any problems with them. They're very quick in the shipping. So I'm not affiliated with them. I'm just telling you guys who I use, all right? And then lastly are hybrid seeds. And these are seeds that are cross-pollinated by man to produce a better plant. So let's say you have 2 different types of tomatoes and you want to cross-pollinate them. Basically, man pollinates them by hand, I'm assuming, to make a juicier tomato. They're both tomatoes, but they're kind of mixing and matching to make something more that almost like dogs, you know, like you have these designer dogs, you know. When I was growing up, we used to call them mutts, but they're called designer dogs. So, you know, they crossbreed these different dogs to produce a different kind of dog. So it's almost the same with plants. All right. Okay, so that's it for today. So just to recap, you need to figure out when it is that you can plant your frost dates. You need to figure out what type of seeds it is that you want to buy, and you also want to figure out when you can plant it. Okay, when is the best time to plant your vegetable that you're trying to plant? All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful and valuable to those of you who may not have known what to do. If it is, please put a thumbs up or whatever. Put a comment below if it was helpful. If you have any questions, I do my best to answer as many questions as I can. All right. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you later.